welcome to today's FileMaker webinar. My name is Mike Crook. I'm the Marketing Manager here for FileMaker in the UK. I have with me Kieran Saunders, our FileMaker Product Specialist.
Good afternoon.
So in just a few ticks, we're going to be getting started with today's session. It's the first in a series of 6, all built around our FileMaker training series, this one entitled Discovery. Before we do that, I'd just like to say if you have any questions during the course of the session, feel free to ask them using the questions panel on the right-hand side of your screen, and we'll do our best to address as many of those as we can towards the end. We'll also be running a few polls during the course of the session. Please do interact with those. They give us some great feedback. Yes, so without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Kieran to get started. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike, and good afternoon again. So let's just briefly look over the agenda for the whole series of 6 webinars. We're going to be starting off with Discovery, so we're going to be looking at the FileMaker platform, what it is, who we are, why you should use it, and the bits and bobs that go into making up the platform. The next one we'll be looking at is navigating around the different platforms and finding information once you've put that information into a system. We'll be then looking at design, good design practice, and other methodologies and techniques. We'd then be going into relationships. How does that work? How do you relate customer data to orders and so on? And we'll be looking into the theory of relational models within a database. We'll then be coming back to sort of a subset of the design, which is the user interface. So we'll be looking at the different tools within FileMaker that help you build these beautiful interfaces for your systems, for your users to use. And then finally, we'll be sort of cramming all the very useful techniques of calculation, scripting, security, and deployment within the last one. So that's how the agenda will looks like for the next 6 in the series. So today, what are we going to be doing? Well, we're going to be looking at why use FileMaker. We're looking at a few real life customer stories, what they've done with the platform, and then we'll be going in and exploring each one of the different platform clients and looking into what do we mean by FileMaker solutions and what are the starter solutions that come with FileMaker Pro when you first launch the demo. So start off, just if you weren't aware of who FileMaker is, well, we're an Apple subsidiary, and our main focus is to allow you to create custom apps for your business, be that on the iOS desktop or web platform. We've been out there, and we've now got more than 20 million copies delivered and out in the industry. And we're very happy to say that we've got over 1 million downloads now. I think it's 1.5. I think we've got to now of downloads of FileMaker Go on the iOS App Store. Now that may not look particularly impressive if you sort of tally it up next to a game, but we're a business software, and we're pretty. We think that's pretty amazing that 1 million people have, or 1.5 million people have downloaded and had to go with our iOS app. We're also an international company, and we ship with over 17 languages. So now we get to the kind of why bother, why look at FileMaker? Well, this is what we found when we've gone out to our customers, and we're finding that our customers are using us and have found us because they're wasting their time chasing down business data. They're doing sort of necessary tasks that are just very time consuming. They're maybe doing some slow manual processes using paper, and it's very inefficient and they can't reproduce it. Or the scattered information, as anyone's looked for an email for half an hour and know it's there and can't find it. This kind of information that's vital to a business process is scattered in different devices or different locations. Or you've got some kind of rigid technology using devices or computers that just don't talk to other devices, computers, and your systems aren't talking to each other. So the answer, of course, is to use some platform like FileMaker where you create a custom solution or a custom app. You've got, of course, on the left-hand side here, you've got the pre-built sort of solutions versus the custom. The pre-built, of course, would be very rigid. They'll be designed but won't exactly fit your business, while a custom app will be flexible and should be in absolutely the right size and integrated into your systems and all those things that you were finding difficult before. So another sort of key point of the why in FileMaker is the research that's going out there, and when we look out into the industries that are out there, we're finding that the mobile workforce, the mobile work style, is on the rise. Quite impressively so. I know even within my job now, there is an awful lot of remote working, and be that wherever I am on whatever device I've got. So I certainly know it in my situation, but we're finding that 70% of the people that are responding to these surveys, they're planning to equip their users with some type of mobile app, some kind of application. And when we go out and we're going out and asking these people, what are they planning to do? One of the highest sort of the highest ranking sort of answers to this is to create more apps to address the core business processes. So that's really what they're looking at doing, and how they're looking to take hold of their mobile workforce. Down bottom left, the stat that surprised me is that an average organisation now only has 7 desks for every 10 employees. So you haven't even got a desk when you get to the office. So you've got to be able to work in that mobile space. So how do we answer that as a platform? Well, we allow people to build custom apps, but the amazing thing about our platform is that you start off with one tool. You start off with FileMaker Pro Advanced, and I'll go into the differences in a minute with the different platforms. But you start off with the tool on the desktop, you build yourself your custom app, or you get someone else to build it for you, one of our partners. You then put that onto a server. That server could be within your organization, or could be with a hosting one of our hosting partners will host your solution for you in a hosting center. And then you deploy that same file without you having to do too much work to that solution to be able to go onto the desktops, both Mac and PC, to FileMaker Go, which is our free downloadable app on the iOS store, and WebDirect within a browser, which is our web technology. But the key is that you've only had to develop that within FileMaker Pro on the desktop to get all of those clients to talk to your system. Also, not within that diagram, but within that server is the capabilities to talk to other systems via a range of technologies, whether that be PHP, XML, ODBC, to different databases, different systems. We can integrate very nicely with your other business processes. So just to give you an idea of some of the things that are out there, some of our developers or customers have actually built themselves, just to give you a flavor of what the tool is capable of building. This is a system that's used out in France. The designers are great. Visually, the user interface is great on his solutions mainly. And this one looks after private jet management. There's a server bar, which is one of the biggest sort of fridges in hotels. I think the system is out in the States, but it's managing the hotel part for stock management. We've got a saloon manager out in Japan there, managing salons. And what have we got in the field? So turning from in-house system to the field. We've got an archaeological system, medical sales, nice little dashboard there of what's going on with the system, and some kind of job safety analysis and recording. So an awful lot out there, and that's the beauty of FileMaker, and also how difficult it is to explain what it's being used for, because it's being used by a variety of sectors, a variety of customers for different tasks within those organizations. But hopefully that's given you a nice flavor. Bringing it back to the UK, we've got a great video out there, as well as a sort of textual case study that you can find on our website that I might just deliver a little link to you. You can have a click on that in a minute and see the video. But Metropolis Studios, I must admit, I'm not in the music sector, so I didn't really know about Metropolis, but it's a wonderful building, wonderful studio, and a lot of the top names in the world have gone through and recorded their albums or songs in this venue. It's an amazing place, and they've really turned around the business. They were struggling, I think is a safe word to use. I'm sure Ali would say that. And they were struggling with certain sort of expensive and rigid systems, one of them being SAP, really struggling to get their enterprise finance data out of it. And that they very quickly realized that it just wasn't suiting them at all. It was becoming very expensive and actually not doing the job that they wanted it to do. So luckily, Oli Susat, who's one of the directors of marketing, communication, and technology, but also had some experience with FileMaker in his past careers, managed to run up a custom solution within a couple of weeks that was taking over a lot of the invoicing, credit, and financial requirements for the system, and really sort of suited the business extremely well because he was in there. He knew exactly what they needed, what the finance director needed, and even after a few days of using the solution, the team there really realised the potential and have gone from strength to strength with it. It's now in all parts of the business, really driving efficiencies. And the quote there's quite a long one, but the one down right at the bottom I just point you out to, FileMaker isn't just supporting, it's enabling us, and that's the amazing thing that's been happening there. So please go and see the video and check it out for yourself. So let's zoom in now to FileMaker and what do we mean by solutions. It's almost a unique term within the sector, and what we mean by solutions is the wrapping up of all of the things that is FileMaker within a solution that will help your business, a custom app, if you like, and that includes your data. So it has a database engine within FileMaker. We can talk to other database engines, but we have a database, proprietary database within FileMaker that will hold all of the data that you need or that you bring into it. Obviously, it has the interface as well, the forms, the user interface for people to interact, to read their reports, to add the data, to search, and to use the system, go through workflows. We've got the logic, which supports all of that. You have a scripting environment. One of the easiest is programming languages, I think, almost in the world, I can probably safely say. It's been completely rebuilt. The interface in which you build these program scripting logics, it's been completely rebuilt in 14. It's really worth having a look if you haven't seen the newest version or if you've got an older version. And then, of course, once you've put all that effort in, you want to create your reports, charts, and sub-summary reports on your data to have dashboards and so on. And of course, security as well. It'd be no good having all of this lovely system if someone can just get in and delete data when they're not supposed to be, or access parts of the system that they aren't entitled to see. So there's a security model that ties in quite nicely. So we wrap up all of those skills within the same tool. You're learning the same things within FileMaker Pro. Once you get that, you can deploy to an iPad, to the browser, and to the desktops, which is truly amazing. So just to wrap up then, really the FileMaker advantage is that building business systems is not easy. It's a range of skills. You have to understand business workflows. You have to understand your business in a more fundamental way than you think you would ever need. There's a lot of business skills that go into developing a custom app. But once you come to build a custom app, wouldn't it be better if you could build that within weeks or a month, let's say, instead of years? So we try and make our tool the most easiest tool there is out there to get to where you need to get. We have lots of design tools and lots of sort of take advantage of technologies to enable you to do things. For example, we can, within a few script steps, you can take signature capture from an iPad. That would take you a good day or two, go on some training with C++, and you'd need a lot of skills to get to there. We sort of give a lot of these advantages very quickly. We're iOS ready, so again, you don't have to go on a training course for 6 months to learn how to build a native iOS app. You're building up the same skill set to go across all of the platforms. And sharing with your team, it's very easy to get that data, that workflow, that bit of information out to all of your team, no matter what device they're on. They could be on an iPhone or an iPad. They could be in a browser, whether that be on an Android device or a Windows device or a desktop. It doesn't matter. Or they could be using the sort of very powerful client called FileMaker Pro, which is Windows and Mac, so they're on the desktop. So we can be wherever your team is. And we've got inbuilt reporting. So again, we make it very easily for you to have a sort of dashboard, to have a view on your business very quickly, and that's all important, of course. Okay, so let's have a look at the tools themselves. We talked about them. Let's actually have a look. So the first, let's go to FileMaker Pro. It's brought up a starter solution. We'll show that later. So let's just bring up, go through how you would get started, and then I'll go through the different sort of bits and bobs in here. So FileMaker Pro, you can start off a new solution, and we'll just give it a name of webinar, let's say, and drop that on the desktop. And when you open up a new solution, it is blank. There's nothing there. You have all the tools in there, of course, and we're in layout mode here, where we can design, put some text on the form, design your buttons, put buttons on there, and build up your fields that you may want to put in there. Maybe you want to record some name and addresses of people, and you can quickly drop those fields, that data entry, onto your form and start building up. As easy as that. So that could be a button that does something, maybe enter, and we've got lots of nice little tools in here where you can add a little picture in there, let's say. Add customer. So we've got all these tools in here. This is layout mode, and we'll go into more detail as we go along. But you start building up your solution as you go along. Like I said, there's if we go into File, Manage Database, we can see we've got the database behind this solution. So our customers table, all of the fields that go into it, and then the relationships where you would relate your customer details to orders and so on and so forth. So that's the database side. Come out of here. Of course, we have our form design where we build up our forms, and then we go into browse mode where we would start adding these records to the database. You start adding the records as we go. The other side, of course, is the scripting environment that I was talking about. So up in the scripts workplace area, we can start designing scripts to maybe add a customer as we were doing that. And we can go in and add some very simple records into here. New record is what I'm looking for. There you go. Or we can start adding the scripts into this the script, and then maybe add the button command onto there. So if I come out of there and save that script, go into layout mode again, I can go onto this button and select that script that we've just built, the add customers one. And then when we go into browse mode, we can see I can now start adding new records as they come up here. Add new records into the database to start adding the customers in. Okay, so let's go over some of the views in here, and also the buttons, just quickly to give you an overview. So like I said, there's different modes. Browse mode is the one where your users are using the system, they're finding and adding records, they're using it. And this is when you use the security model to lock those users into browse mode. They won't be able to go into layout mode, which is the one we're in, where you're able to change the look feel of the solution, add in logos and build up the design and change the actual database itself. They'll be locked out of that, so they can't get in there. Find mode is another lovely thing within FileMaker, that whenever you're building a user interface to do a query, to query that database to find the data that you want, within find mode, all of the fields that you've put in there to add records also become find records, if you like. So we can find the mic that I put in there, it's found one mic, and you can find your customers, all that data that you need very, very fast. And the other is preview mode, which is when you've had all this data in there, you're obviously going to want to maybe create an invoice, PDF that invoice and send it by email. Well, we've got preview mode, which just enables you to see what it's going to look like when it's PDF'd or when it's printed. So we've got an idea of these modes, and if you've noticed, as I've gone along through these different modes, the tool set has changed. Of course, when we're looking at browse mode here, we're in the browse mode. You can see that I've got different tools. We can go through the records. We can see what records we've got in the found set, how many we found. Well, we found one. We can show all of those records again. So we can go back to the 7 records that we've put in. We can save as a PDF. We can save as Excel. We can export those records, export them as a variety of different formats, whether that be textual or out to Excel to email to other people. Obviously, new records and delete and find are all there as well. So that's your tool set there. You can also view your records in a series of ways. So we could view them in a list view, a form view, one record at a time, list view, all of the records in one view, very useful for the reports and for printing out labels, and table view where you see it, the text is unformatted, so you can see what's in there. So there's different views on your data as well for each layout you do. You can have as many layouts as you want, so we could create more layouts. Those layouts could be based upon either a computer, so the desktops, touch devices, so iPads or iPhones, or printed, whether you want to do reports or labels and so on. So you can create as many of these labels as you want and base them on the different views, so whether you have a form, one record at a time, list view or table view, and which orientation you want to do. And you can very quickly create more layouts in there, as you can see, and have as many forms and layouts as you want, and then you start tying them together with very simple buttons for navigation. So you'd have a button here to go back to the form. So we're in layout mode here, and again, the tool sets have changed. We've got going between our layouts on the side here instead of records. We've got a textual tool, so you can add text to the system, lines and shapes. It's still incredibly useful actually when you're building a user interface to have these very simple tools, but quite powerful sometimes to have a line or a shape around objects. We've got the buttons where you can attach your business logic to. We've got tab controls, so you can have many objects behind tabs, maybe a workflow. A portal is how you view related data. So you may be on the custom here, but you'd use the portal tool to show that related data. And you've got a charting tool where you can build charts, and a web tool where you can see people's websites or some kind of web information within FileMaker within itself without having to go to a browser. So lots of different tools there, and you can see that they change based on which mode you're in, one of the modes that we've just explained. Okay, so that was the sort of a very quick introduction to FileMaker Pro, sort of some of a view around it. One of the differences between Pro and Advanced, Advanced is exactly the same as Pro with some additional tools. They're up in the tools menus, and one of the first ones is the script debugger tool, and that enables you, when you run your simple script, it captures that script and allows you, I know this is only a one-liner, but you may have 10 or 20 lines within your little program, your script here, and it allows you to debug them. It allows you to step through that and find out whether you've possibly made a mistake and to fix it. So it's a very valuable tool there. We've got the custom menu, so you can change some of the text here to say save a report, maybe instead of save as PDF, so you can customize the app around it. We've got reports when your system's getting very big. You can write print off a database design report in HTML, and you've got some developer utilities. One of the most powerful ones there is to encrypt the actual database file, particularly useful for those very high security or sensitive information. You can actually encrypt the file to have a second layer of encryption that is pretty much unbreakable. It's one of the highest encryption levels, and very useful for those kind of sectors that need that level of security. So that's some of the differences in FileMaker Pro Advanced. The other ones, very simple ones, but enable you within the table view within File Managed Database to paste these tables. So you may have a base table that's got, I don't know, 10 fields that you always use in all of your tables. It enables you to cut and paste between those tables, which is very useful. Okay. So let's look at the other ways of starting. We've done just a new file. Let's have a look at bringing in some Excel, and maybe I'll quickly build up a quick file. I've got two Excel files here with customers and asset data. I'm just going to bring in the customer data and just quickly build up a very, very simple file. Let's bring that in. That's great. So I've got a bit of data in here. I've got 10 customers, and I'm just going to bring in that other bit of data, which was the assets, into a new table. So we've got two tables in there now, two bits of data. So we've got the assets, and we just go to FileMaker database, I can change that to customers. So it makes more sense. So we've now got our customers and assets in there. And maybe I'll bring in the portal tool and just show all of those assets per customer. So I'm just going to relate that data. We'll be going into more detail through the series, but it's good to just have a quick flavor of these. So I'm just going to relate customer ID to customer ID for the assets and bring in some of those records. I'll just show 10 records at this time. And bring in some of those bits of data that we want. Costs. So let's see how that looks. So I'm in layout mode. I can go exit that and save that data, and then per customer I can see what assets they've got. So a very, very simple system. I could make it look a little bit more pretty by putting in the logo. But there you go. Very simple system with customers and their assets. So let's bring that up to the server. And to do that, we're just going to go to File, Sharing, and I'm going to upload that to FileMaker Server. It's asking me to put a password on there, and you should do, but just for this demo purpose, I'm going to ignore that. I've got a FileMaker Server sitting on my machine here, so I'm just going to upload that to my server, and then reopen it with FileMaker Pro. So that's now hosted. You can see because the server name is in brackets here at the top. So we've now got that as a hosted file, which is fantastic. And I can go out, one of the easiest ways is I can go out and then send a link to the database, which will open up my mail client, and then I can email my clients with the link to that database, and they can go in and use it. Of course, it's unsecure at the moment. They can all just log in automatically, but it's very, very fast to then share that across all your desktops within your organization very, very quickly. So let's see how we would then use it with some other clients. So I've got my iPad sitting next to me, and I've got FileMaker Go sitting there on there. So I'm just going to open that up. And unfortunately, the tool I was using to show you my iPad has just crashed. I'm just going to quit that. Relaunch Reflector. There you go. So we've now got, sorry, my iPad back again. So we've got, this is FileMaker Go, and you can see down the bottom here that we've got our recent files that we've gone into, the ones that are on the device and the ones that are on the host. So FileMaker Go has got a great facility where you can have files that you've developed in FileMaker Pro, and if they're small enough, you could just email them over to the device, open them up in Mail, hold and click on the attachment, and it will say open up in. And in that submenu, one of them will be FileMaker Go. You can then open up that file, and that will be a local file then. You could take that on a plane and have a look at your product catalog maybe, or whatever else that you may have on there. Some people go off and use it as a quoting tool. I know of companies who go out to see customers and actually have sort of some custom quoting tools, and they're all offline. Have all the calculations needed to do some pretty complex quoting, and they're all on their iPad, and they can use them completely offline. So that's that device bit there, and any of these, I could just open up and use in that way. What we're going to do is connect our FileMaker go to our server that we've got, and for that I'm going to go up to the host link at the top there, and you could add in your favorite host, so you could save your server, and that's the way you would do it. In this case, I'm just looking at local. What's it finding out on the local area network? It's finding my server there, so it's gone off and found that. And now we're looking for the same file, so customer webinar, that's the one that we've just done. So I can click on that file there, and there you can see I'm looking exactly at the same file. So we could come in here and change some of that data, and come down and commit that, and you can see that it's changed on this side. We could also come down to here, maybe change that to West, and you can see that it's changing on the iPad. So they are connected. Just to do it a bit more visually, maybe I'll change the logo over there just to prove the point, and you can see the logo changing on the iPad. So this is my physical iPad sitting next to me. So that's FileMaker Go. It's that you can't do any developing on here, but you can do some searching. You can add records, of course. I'm clicking here, and of course I need to click on my iPad. You can add a new record. And go in and add a new record. Let's add FileMaker as a customer. And then it's all connected. So you can add and you can do searching, sorting, but you just can't develop. You can do most of everything you can do, but you just can't do any developing. You can see that we can sort of see that we can see a bit of, we call it the Chrome, but you can see a bit of the app if you like. If I just use 3 fingers, if you can see that on the GoToMeeting screen, but I'm using 3 fingers to swipe up, and very quickly it starts to look more and more like an app. You wouldn't know that it was running in FileMaker. 3 fingers down just brings up that Chrome again, and of course there's a script step. Very easy to launch this without the Chrome. So it looks very nice. It looks like you've got your own custom app, which you have. You just haven't had to use C++ and go through the process of going through the Apple sort of process to put up on the iOS App Store. Okay, so hopefully that tells you enough about FileMaker Go, how you deploy to it. So you can deploy via email, or you go direct to the server, whether that be, we've done it in a local network here, but you could be going out with a 4G iPad. You could be going to a hosted solution with a hosting partner and start using that data straight away, while people in the office are connected to the same file. And you can start to see how very quickly you can start connecting data to all these devices and connecting them all together very, very fast. So the next part of it, of course, is the web. So I'm just going to bring up my browser here and just refresh that link. So I'm looking at my server again. You would point to the name of your server /FMI/webd for WebDirect. You would be brought to this page where you could see all of the files that are on that particular server. And you can go into them. So I could possibly go into this one here, the Gallery Master solution, and go into there through the browser. So this was built in FileMaker Pro, but is being displayed within the browser as a web app. So we've got some lovely little pictures here of the gallery and some charting and dashboarding going on, which is great. So let's just go back to that, but we can't see our file, our customer's webinar file that we just built. We can't see that here, so let's have a look at how we make that happen. So it's already sort of ready to go, but we just haven't opened that up. So we're just going to go to manage the security of this file. And here is when we would go in and create our users and the privilege sets, which is what they're able to do. You know, can they just add data? Can they only read data? They can't even delete or add any data into it, or are they the admin? Are they have full access? But the one we want is the extended privileges tab on there, where we open up this file to different technology, whether that be PHP, which runs most of the web still, XML, which is a way of transferring data. The FileMaker Access FM app here is for FileMaker Go and FileMaker Pro, which is all working. So that is working there. But what we haven't opened up is the WebDirect privilege set. So we just need to open that up to our full access account, which is the only one we've got at the moment, the admin account. And if we OK that, we should be able to go back to our browser and have that file appear, which is great. It does look a little bit boring, so I'm going to just go back to FileMaker Pro, and I'm going to go to File Options, and one of the new facilities is to give your a solution a custom app. You can choose from any one of our apps, our icons, or you can go and create your own. So I'm going to use the company logo, which seems appropriate, and OK that. And hopefully if I go here and just refresh, we can see that we've got that icon in there, which makes it look a little bit more pleasing on the eye, and we can sort of differentiate our apps with a nice icon. So I can go into this solution. As you can see, it's exactly the same. So we could go into FileMaker Pro and again, maybe change that logo over to the left again. And we should see it moving on the browser. It gets a bit confusing now. We've got FileMaker Pro, the browser, and the iPad, and we've got all of these things working in here. So let's enter find mode on the web, and let's look for FileMaker. And there you go. So that's the same record we created on the iPad, gone through the server. It's now within our web app and also within FileMaker Pro. So we've got a connected solution in all of those different clients very, very quickly. I've been talking slowly, but I've managed to get all of those sort of apps up there and deployed within about 10 minutes or so. Okay, so let's come to the only one we haven't looked at is actually the server itself. We've been using it, but not seen the sort of the management tool, if you like. So it's within a browser again, so we can manage our server from wherever we are within the browser. We can see the status of our server, what's going on there, how many clients are connected, all the different parts to the server, are they green light ticked, whether they're working, and so on. We can see in the activity tag, we can see how many different solutions or custom apps we've got running up there, how many clients are connected again, what status the file is in, whether it's normal, it should be, how many the technologies that are have been opened through the security model and what they are. A nice little sort of dot here so you can see them. Schedules, so you could do backups. Some of this data is probably going to be extremely important to the business, so we can have sort of daily, hourly, weekly backups that roll on automatically every for a set sort of period, say 10 times, 10 daily backups, and then repeat 10 hourlies, 10 weeklies, 10 monthlies, whatever you want. You could also run scripts within here, so you could run a report script that does a big report, PDF something, and then and sends that off to the relevant team, let's say. And you can do lots of automation from the server. We've got stats, of course, so we can see what's going on in the server, if it's being stressed out, if it's under danger of collapse, which it shouldn't be, but you've got the stats here to do some health checks and find out what's going on in relation to lots of different bits and bobs. It's a complex system, of course, so we're talking, networks. Is it networks? Is it the disk? Is it the waiting for the time that each client is taking to wait for a response, a request for some information? So we've got some nice little tools in there to see that. Log viewing, you just see the textual version of that kind of thing, and just going into the general settings of setting up the server, groups and emails and so on. Yeah, not too much to say about the rest of it, so just general settings around the server, but you can manage that all through the browser, which is great. Okay, so let's go back to the presentation, and we're just going to take a quick quiz just to see how much of that you took in and what I forgot to tell you. Okay, so from what we've been talking about when we were looking at real life uses, what can you see? What would you think would be the real life use cases of the FileMaker platform? I can see that the votes streaming in now. Okay, thank you for that. I'll just close that poll and share the results. So yeah, it's just to make the point that FileMaker is a tool, so you build whatever solution you would want in it. So the real cases, real life use cases, are very wide and very deep. So yeah, all of the above really. So the next one, what's the recommended way to share a solution with multiple users? So there's a variety of ways you can do it, and just so you know, for testing sort of purposes, you can use FileMaker Pro itself to share to up to 4 users, but limited to the iPads and other FileMaker Pro users. But you can, quickly just have a quick test and make sure everything's working within FileMaker Pro. But that's not the recommended way of rolling that into a real environment, to a production environment. Okay, let's close that poll and just share the results. So absolutely, yeah, we're using it today, but to host it on a FileMaker server. And like I say, that doesn't have to be within your organization. You don't have to buy a Windows server and put it into a rack somewhere within the organization. You can use a hosting partner to get that server deployed. So which software and hardware do you need to design and build a FileMaker custom app? Okay, thank you for those. I'll just close that poll now and show those results. So yes, you can use FileMaker Pro or Pro Advanced on a Mac or Windows machine. So any of the desktop machines really. And the next poll. So select 2 methods from which FileMaker Go, so the iOS app, can access a FileMaker solution. This is the one everyone gets right, or at least it was the one that everyone got right. Okay, thank you for that. I'll just close that and share those results. So the 2 ways that you can access FileMaker solution on your iPad is connecting through to a server live through Wi-Fi or a 4G connection, or you get it onto the iOS device, like I say, so it's stored locally. So that's either through email, something like Dropbox or Box, or through iTunes, where you connect with your Lightning cable, the iPad to the desktop machine and drop that file in via iTunes. So there's a variety of ways of getting that on there, depending on the size of it. Okay, right, that's brilliant. Thank you very much for that. So the other way of starting, the other way that we haven't gone into, is something that we call starter solutions, which most other products would call templates, to give you an idea. So it's but they're a bit more involved than just templates. Some of them now are extremely well built. Some of them are quite complex. But they enable you to sort of get started and get an idea. That they could be used for training purposes or to run a small part of the business. I know that some of our customers that are maybe using FileMaker for something else, for example, the Metropolis Studios are using our asset starter solution, and they've converted it to go out and use iPads to barcode to scan their IT kit throughout the organization. And that was something that one of the IT managers did, and he had no developing skills in anything. He was an IT hardware guy, but he managed to roll out a completely new business system within a day or so. So they're pretty good. They're worth having a look at. They're completely open and customizable. They're not locked down in any way. And most of them, certainly the newest 10 or 15, come with desktop, web, and iOS forms with automatic scripts to switch you between, so you're instantly ready to go out on all those devices. For example, the asset one has a desktop sort of layout, which if you open it up in FileMaker Pro will instantly take you there. If you open it up on the iPad, you'll be put to the iPad layout, and similarly to the iPhones. So very much worth having a look. So let's take a look at that. I'll just get rid of my iPad there. So you get to them from FileMaker Advanced, and you go to File. Sorry, I said FileMaker Advanced. From FileMaker Pro or Advanced, File, New from Starter Solution. It looks slightly different this screen on a Windows or a Mac, but the same functionality, the same files. And the ones I would recommend you having a look at is the Asset one, the Content Management, the Invoices one, and the two new ones are Projects and I think it was is it estimates? Event Management and Projects with the two new ones. So let's quickly have a look at Projects actually. I've got a pre-populated one. So this is one of the newest ones. So for project management between a small team, you can sign in, you can start to get users, you can create new projects and rename them, add in some of that data and the task to go with it. Read some books to learn FileMaker maybe. Add some resource. Who's going to do this? I'm going to get Mike to do this one. We can drop in this picture. It looks very nice actually when you do drop a picture in there, and add him to that. And how far has he got through that task, and so on and so forth. So we can add multiple tasks to this project and get an overview of how these different projects are going on with a nice little report. Again, everything is customizable in here. You could change all of these elements around. What else have we got? Yeah, so that's the context one, so that's worth looking at. That's a nice one. Like I say, every single one of these, I can go into layout mode. I can change everything in here. I can change or delete, and it becomes your own very quickly. The scripts are in there. Let's see how many scripts are in here. There's quite a few scripts in here, but they are the green text here is the comments, so it's trying to help you out. They're well ordered, and it may scare some of you who've never done any program before, but if you sat down with the book for a few days, this would all very, very much start making sense. There's no real, I like to call it goobly gobbly. Most of the script sets here are in English language. Go to layout. Well, a layout is a form. Go to a form. It all makes pretty much sense. That's a navigation. It's under the navigation tab here, but it's all English language, and it's the easiest, like I say, it's the easiest programming language to start learning, in my opinion, but extremely powerful. It does run large systems in large companies, so it's very much worth getting to grips with and having a look. So the scripts in there that you can look and learn how we're doing things. Like I say, using FileMaker Advanced with the script debugger is a great way of doing it. Have that open as you're clicking around. The system will start feeding you into these solutions and these scripts, and you can see and step through these and see what's going on and how they're building in this business logic into these solutions. So it's very much worth using these as a training example as well. So let's look at some with data. I've got a folder here with some of them. So let's go through the line. So we've got invoices with data. Shrink that down a bit. So we've got an invoicing one which has invoices, customers, and products or services, I believe. Yes, products or services. And it's a very nice little file. You go to customers, you get maps on customers, how many invoices they've got, or paid or unpaid. Drive into those invoices and see what they've done, and obviously build up those invoices with different quantities and so on. This is in dollars, but it's very, very quick to change those into pounds, that formatting. And you've got a nice little dashboard with charting telling you how you're doing per month here, and what sort of what state of some of these invoices are in. So it's a great little solution. And again, all of these comes with iPads, iPhones, and web views. So it's a great one to start off with, I think, this one. So that's the invoicing one. We're sort of researching with data. So this is a bit of an older one, but has research notes for maybe students or scientists. Now some notes on these different projects, some documents and media and pictures and so on that you can put into there, metadata around it and do searching around it, and some reports that go with it. You can print out the reports as you go. The assets ones I've mentioned. This is a really nice one. So you can start tracking your assets. You can have depreciation reports, which are quite nice. Again, you can change these, make them look a bit more colourful, a bit black and white. Inventory report, a little pie chart there. Labels, so you can print out labels, which you could then maybe change this to those labels are actually barcodes instead of the actual sort of barcode is just a font, right? So behind every barcode is just a series of text or numbers. So you could change that into a barcode so it does change it. It's not native within FileMaker, but you can make that happen. And once you do, if you go to the iPad screen, you can see here we've got a button here that will scan a barcode. So on the iPad, you could quickly scan an object and it'll bring up that object, that asset. What else have we got in here? So this is the iPad screen. If we go to the iPhone screen, you can kind of, I have to shrink the window a bit so you get an idea, but on your iPhone it will look something like this. So you can still have all the data, but obviously you've got to work within that environment on the iPhone. Okay, what was the one I did want to show? Oh yes, the history. This is a nice little bit to it. So we've got the a little drop down here, but the history of who checked in and checked out. Say that came back damaged, maybe not that damaged because it still went out to someone else. But you can check in and check out objects to people, and then you get a history of where it was and when it went out, and where's that damaged one? Came back damaged by Anne, and you can run some reports off that. Also send an email, and it will kick off your email with that PDF in it, which is great. So the picture and everything else that you've got in there, which is fantastic. So lots of nice functionality in this file that you could look into. So what's the next one? Is the contacts one. A content management, or I struggle to say content management, contacts really. So just your contact information for your business. Again, could be across the iPad and the iPhone and so on. But it has a lovely little feature in here within the iPhone that goes off. You click a button and it will get your geolocation. So it's using the GPS chip on the phone and it will tell you where you are, which is really nice. So there's some custom function scripts in there, and again, it's a nice learning tool within it. So that's the contacts. The other one of my favorite ones, is this content management system, so digital assets, if you like, and you can drop, if we just create a new record here, you can drop in some digital asset, and FileMaker will actually detect that it is an image, the size, it's got the name of the file there, and then you can put some metadata around there to find it. So I really like this one. It's got a thumbnail view, so you can see, you can filter by images or photos and so on, or just a list of all these things that are in there. It could be video, got videos in here, it could be photos, PDFs, or images, or whatever else you want to hold in a nice little contained place, instead of being these digital assets being everywhere, on someone's machine when they've maybe bought 3 or 4 pictures that are not copyrighted, and they're sitting on their laptops instead of being able to be reused by someone else in the organization. Anyway, so that was some of the starter solutions. Like I say, they're all editable. Most of them come with different forms for the different clients, and they're also a great little learning tool as well. So let's just have a quick little quiz just to make sure, again, I haven't forgotten anything. So let's just launch that. Let me just close that down again. Sorry about that if I'm full screen on the presentation. It doesn't like it. So which template would you use to build an iPad solution for a scientist? I bet you don't get asked that question very often. That needs to collect lab notes. Okay, I'll just close that poll. Yep, research notes, that's the one we looked at. And which of the following statements regarding the assets starter solutions are true? The assets track office assets. Assets fields includes categories, serial number, purchase dates. You may have to dive into those files a bit more to learn those, but just to give you an idea that they offer a lot of functionality, some of these files. Okay, I'm just going to close that and share those results. Yeah, so I think all of the top three, apart from the last one. It may even do that one, but I'm not an accountant, so I don't fully understand what that is. Okay, one of my favorite ones, the last one I showed, was what type of files can we track with the content management solution? So really what that's asking is what can FileMaker track? It doesn't have to be within that particular solution. It is just one field type called a container field. Yeah, brilliant. I'll just close that and share it. Yeah, exactly. Images, documents, or videos. And in effect, the container file or field itself will just contain anything. It may not display it very nicely. If it's a PDF or an image, it will try and display that appropriately. But if it's a very, very old format or some CAD/CAM document that it doesn't understand, but it will still contain it. It will still hold it within the database. So what are the three features that make Star Solutions so helpful for mobile development or learning how to do it? And I think the last one's going to be quite low because I didn't mention it, but within the FileMaker Go app, we have tried to obviously make it part of that environment. So part of an iPad is touch, obviously, So one of the lovely things is that you can, two fingers can swipe between records, two fingers on a container field, a slide control. You'll have a nice sliding effect with photos, and those three fingers to pull down and up the Chrome was another sort of a touch environment. So we're trying to include more and more of those things in there. The signature capture, for instance, you just have to click on a field and use your finger to sign. You don't need any other device to do that. So yeah, the only one that isn't correct is that C. You don't have to purchase starter solutions, and you can't. You don't purchase them from us. We make the tool. There are people out there that do build and sell solutions that are built in FileMaker, but we don't as a business do that. We just build the tool. Okay, fantastic. So thank you for that. I think that just helps me wrap up what we've been trying to learn today. So please join us for the rest of the series, but just for those of you who want to go off and straight away, you want to dive in deep, one of our major training organisations is Transmedia. They have offices, two in London and one in Bristol. They also offer custom development, but the main part of their business is the training. So have a look on their website. It goes everywhere from beginners training up to custom iOS apps to sort of learning how to pass the FileMaker exam if you get to that level. So they offer training for all levels of people and organisation, and do on-site as well as off-site training. So please give them their website a look. So thank you for joining us today. Our next webinar is in 2 weeks' time, same time on a Friday. Hopefully we'll have this beautiful sunshine as we have today. So thanks for joining me and not going out for lunch. Please join us there. We're running another webinar, a brand new webinar that's based around mobile development next Friday. So please join us for that. And we're offering a few other new webinars as well. So check out our website for details on that.